Well, thanks so much for joining us, man. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me by on your Queens excursion.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so great.
Yeah, it's so funny the circumstances under which we've been doing this podcast now. We've almost done 30 episodes now.
It's crazy.
And for those listening, watching at home, it was not intended to be the format that you've come to know and love. It was originally intended to be at U2 Kamwoo, which is the studio that Zach is a part of. And obviously it didn't work out because of COVID, but we really appreciate you and everybody over there, the willingness to go along with our idea.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it would have been fun at the studio, but I think what you have done with these location interviews has been equally awesome. And it's nice they have all these different, the studio is nice, and your home setup is really nice, but it's also great to incorporate all these different perspectives in, I think, too, just for a change, literal change of scenery.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it worked out nice. And hopefully the weather, hopefully we'll have another global warming winter, and the weather won't get too rough for the next few months.
We were just talking about that the other day. What are we going to do when it gets cold?
Maybe it'll be like last year and it just won't.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
This was a cold day last winter, 55, I mean, I think maybe it got a little colder than that.
No, you're right though, because last year we knew we were going to do this, even though we hadn't started it, we hadn't told anyone yet.
Yeah.
And starting in November, I think all the way through till February, I would text Mike almost every day and be like, we should have started earlier.
Yeah.
We should have done it this year. It's so nice out.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
This was the nicest day this week of our walk, so felt very fortunate to be able to have planned this as the day, not have to screw around with the schedule too much.
It was legitimately cold on Wednesday, that's for sure. I don't know how did you all do with actually under freezing for a little bit of the day?
Was that me?
I wasn't there with you that day. Tuesday was cold too, but Wednesday was colder and you were alone.
Wednesday was, yeah, it was interesting. It was not raining, so that helps tremendously.
Yeah.
I think the coldest day we've had so far was a few weeks back when it rained all day, and we hadn't really taken our rain gear situation to the next tier.
Yeah, that was really rough.
We came home and couldn't use our arms properly. It was a real weird, not hypothermia, but just
we didn't have gloves yet that were waterproof, so really quickly your hands just get wet.
Yeah.
And in the summer that was fine because it was warm, but then now that it's getting cold in the rain, our hands would get wet, and then I guess they kind of freeze up real quick, and it's the end of the circulation anyway, so they're sensitive. So now we have gloves and we have thicker rain gear, and we have a better understanding of what to wear under it.
Yeah.
But you don't learn without testing.
Yeah. Gloves are one of those, I feel like everybody has gloves, but they don't. No, I don't think New Yorkers really have thought through their glove choices.
Yeah.
It's it's mostly a style consideration, and they do the bare minimum of keeping your hands warm on your walk from the train to wherever you're going, etc. But I've been thinking about it a lot because I want gloves that are warm, down to below freezing, that also are dexterous and grippy enough to hold a beer.
Ooh, nice.
And there's a set of Arc'teryx gloves that I'm thinking about getting, but I don't know. What did you all end up getting?
So
we still need to work on it.
Yeah.
Because we have, I don't know if you're familiar, I think we've told you about it, or maybe you've seen, we have a pretty important list of where we get our clothes from and what we're wearing and what we're buying.
Yeah.
The gloves, because it was oh, we need this tomorrow. I can't move my fingers and it's going to rain again tomorrow.
Yeah.
We did Amazon buys.
Nice.
And they're not, they're they worked. The gloves I got are completely waterproof and they're warm, but they were I think $15 on Amazon, and they came the next day, and I don't feel good about that, but I am going to tell, I'm gonna be honest about it.
we have a tier which is known as functional necessity within our clothing, and presently that's where it falls in.
Yeah.
Now we've done some research, and honestly, it's disappointing that there aren't a lot of American-made options, and the ones that are American-made are typically work gloves and things like that.
Yeah.
We found some that were assembled in the U.S., but we brought it up before. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. You could put the tag on and that's assembled.
Yeah.
Similarly with design, that doesn't mean anything, you know. So
But we also haven't done a ton of research into it.
we're going to keep
we're
trying.
going to keep trying as it gets cold.
Nice.
But as for this particular Wednesday, Jessie was actually, she wasn't walking with me that day.
Yeah.
She was giving a lecture, so to speak, or she was talking to a college class.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And as she was doing that, she was doing it on Zoom, obviously, because this is the world
That was
we live in.
my
Yeah.
like one recent professional.
She
Zoom
closed the
thing.
door, and it's like, okay. And then I realized my gloves were in that room.
Oh, no.
And I was not going to wait a half hour to pick up the gloves.
Yeah.
So I was walking around. I was looking for thrift stores. There weren't thrift stores available. I went. There was a dollar store, and they had those. Those very thin gloves, basically, which I actually like. They were super dexterous, or dexterous.
Dexter.
I don't even know that's the
Dexterous,
right word, but
yeah. But nothing. They're super dexterous. They are maybe not the most quality in terms of like how long they're going to hold up.
yeah.
But I went to the store, and then it was $10, and I was like, okay, that seems a little cheap for like what I'm going to give, but whatever, that's fine. And then I gave her the money, and she was like, oh, I'm sorry, it's $1. And I mean, look, the gloves, they were definitely functional necessity for that day. I would have been in real trouble without it being, there. But the fact that they're $1 is like super troubling, and what we're kind of talking about, where it's like, how does that even, like, they're made in China. It must cost like 90 cents to fly it over. I don't understand how that's working.
Yeah.
I have a theory on it that because so many things are made in China, it's not like the company might not be making any money, but like the country of China might just be like, make it like what people will buy because it's the cheapest, and then we will own production of everything. And maybe that, I don't know how like crazy that sounds, but I kind of think it makes sense if it's just like, well, if we're always undercutting everything, then like all production will just happen here. And maybe there's, maybe a bigger company just like makes gloves for nothing because they can make money on shirts or something like that.
Possibly. I mean, it makes me think that just a lot of negative things, and like things where it's like, the perception that I have of the Chinese government is based on news stories, is that it is willing to grind people into dust in the name of progress for the government. That's my current operating understanding. And we are enabling that by purchasing these products. And it seems like it could be a two birds, one stone situation if we start trying to make these things in our country and employ people that are currently in jobs that are becoming fast outmoded, But to do that, we have to tell people that, these gloves are going to be $5 or $6 or $7, not $1. And I don't know. It's just hard. I think it's hard for a lot of people to make that jump where it's like, no, but I want it for $1. And it's like, yeah, but you're destroying people's lives and maybe even your own country if you care about it,
Getting back into the idea of repair your broken gloves instead of buying a new one. I'm the worst. I'll throw stuff out like the smallest thing is messed up with it. It's like I'll just buy a new one.
Really?
It's the worst. It's like the worst mentality, and it's because I don't know. It's easier to buy something new now than it is to get something fixed. It takes longer to get something fixed than to get something delivered on Amazon, and you could go to a dollar store and get a pair of gloves for $1.
Yep.
It's true.
But
even for me, that I have a sewing machine and I have all the skills, obviously, to fix like pretty much everything.
Yeah.
I do fix my things, but like they'll sit and wait and wait and wait because it is easier to just like boop boop boop.
We have a backlog right now. Yeah. There's one of the shirts from the fall, the poncho, things like that. But yeah, I mean, I would be in the same boat as you with clothes if I didn't live with Jessie, and I am in the same boat as you with other things. It's, it's not about trying to be the best version for every single possible thing. Right now we're just kind of thinking about it philosophically, like let's just tackle one or two things, and hopefully it'll like bleed into some of our other subconscious decisions as well.
I think that it's absolutely true. Just about it, just choose some part of your life that you can have that mentality, especially with things that have like resale value. And I know some clothes do have quite a lot of resale value.
Yeah.
Musical instruments have tons of resale value.
Right.
Recording hardware can go up in price as well if it's like a coveted piece of gear. And knowing how to repair those, or having trusted people that you can get those repaired, I think is kind of an equivalent thing. Where it's like, yeah, I'm not going to get a new guitar or something like that. I'm going to like repair this guitar. I have so much respect for my friends who can do that kind of work, you know, because they're adding value to all their stuff. And I guess this is also true with clothes. For me, at least, I have like articles of clothing that have passed a threshold at which I would be generally upset if I had to throw it out because I like it so much. And it's like been a part of my life for so long that like I am going to put the shoulder pads on this shirt, or like I am going to repair this jacket, or like the rip in these pants or something like that. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's always like a good. It would be nice if all your clothes are kind of like that. I mean, maybe back in the day they were. Like if like you only had like the one shirt or something, it's like you probably really enjoyed that shirt.
Totally,
it was a part of your life.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about this like all day, but yeah, I think back in the day too, like we didn't have like polyester, and we didn't have like jersey, and we didn't have this stuff that's just like kind of shittily made and like falls apart real quick. Like you would have a really nice like denim that would last forever, not like the denim that we have now that has half plastic and just like shrivels by the end of one season.
Yeah.